Yo, everybody, what's going on? It's Tuesday night. You know what it is. It's Flyers Talk, A2D. Bring in third period action up between the Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens. Flyers currently up 3-1 with the Habs buzzing a little bit more than I think we would like him to right now. But we're also going to talk about Flyers closing out games against some of the tougher teams in the league. Just had a back-to-back with Carolina. Took both teams to the shootout. Didn't exactly get that second point, but they did get the 1 point, which is really important moving forward. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how they can figure out ways to finally get over the hump of, beating some of these top teams in the league instead of just hanging around with them. So make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going to bring you a ton of Flyers conversation. So let's go get it started. Time to go drop the puck.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sensuti, along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What up?
The Broken One, Rob Povia.
Happy holidays, fam.
Happy holidays, and welcome to another edition of Flyers Talk A2D, brought to you by the Dr. Paul Vidal over at Specialized Physical Therapy. If you have any aches and pains, hit up the doc. Either head to Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. After a couple of sessions with them, you will feel as good as new. And the poll question for tonight is: the Flyers' ability to hang with the best teams in the NHL shows this team is ready to be a playoff team. Agree or disagree? Obviously, we've seen the recent results may not necessarily be what we're asking for. However, though, the Flyers are not getting blown out by any stretch of the imagination. They have been in those games, and they have been in the thick of it. So with them being with those top-tier teams and also having gotten wins on top-tier teams even before the most recent games, is this team already a playoff team? Are they? Do you guys agree?
I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think there's a lot that this team is doing really well in order to kind of sway me to think that they're a playoff team, but I still also think they're still missing a piece or two to be a complete playoff team. I think the one thing, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the second half of the show, is I feel like they're missing a killer instinct, or, that guy who's going to be your go-to guy come overtime. And I realize, there's a couple names that come to mind that could definitely be that person. You got Trevor Zegras, who's on a 4-game heater. Mitch Kovac, the future of this organization. He's your future franchise guy, having a rocky sophomore year, which is good. You kind of expect that for some players. Connor Bedard had a really rough sophomore year. Now he's having a fantastic third year. So maybe it's just that sophomore slump that, some players do go through in their second year because they have to learn to adjust to the guys adjusting to them. To me, I think they are. But again, I still think there's like a piece or two missing from this team to officially be a playoff team. But they're as damn close as you're going to get. A lot of great things to talk about as far as what this team is doing well. Couple things here and there to talk about as far as things that they're not doing as well, but overall, maybe I just swayed myself into thinking that I'm gonna agree to this, which I love doing. But with Risto being back now, and then on top of it, you got, like I said, Zegras is playing extremely well. Carl Grunderson has come up and has points in every single game that he's played so far this year. So, if you can get some more of these guys in these more minor roles to step up, hey, you know what? I think it might be a surefire agree.
Okay. Robbie, how do you feel?
In regard to the team hanging with the best in the league, I don't think that's what defines this team as being a playoff team. So I'm going to disagree to the poll. They're doing enough things right where they're controlling the pace of play much, much better against, stiff competition. We saw that in the back-to-back games against the Hurricanes. And it's not just an issue of measuring up to these teams anymore, right? It's about finishing. And I got a great quote as we do talk about that after we wrap up this game against Montreal 3-1, 10:45. I got on the clock here. I'm probably a little behind to go left in the third period. But this game is another game where the Flyers are in Montreal, in their building, going against a team that is third in the Atlantic and a strong playoff contender themselves and handling business. So I don't think it matters how they're measuring up these teams. It's got to start being how are they measuring up to themselves. And there's been a little bit of lack of confidence, lack of finish, lack of how should I say, just trying to make the perfect play when they have opportunities. And that's just the team that's trying to find confidence, trying to, build their identity. And that's going to come. But, until I start seeing the finish, they're doing all the little things right. And the work is obvious, but there's still a little bit left to go for me to believe that this team is a strong playoff team. So I'm sort of like Brian, where I'm praising them, but I'm disagreeing to the poll.
Yeah.
So Priz is saying Flyers going to be a playoff team. Buffalo about to have a fire sale. Flyers have to take advantage of that. So Priz, I'm going to throw into here. I guess he's going to be on the agree category. As for myself, here's my problem with I'm going to say disagree, only because I feel like hanging in there with the top tier teams in the league, that's great and all. But as you were saying, Rob, it's not so much about hanging in there. You don't want to be the team that's going into these cities or going into those games where it's like, okay, we might have a shot. You want to get to the point where, no, we do have a shot. And this team is not intimidating to us. Once you get to that point, that's when it's like, okay, now you're safe. Now, well, I'm not going to say safe, but now you're better, to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, you're a playoff team. The fact that you have to debate that, the fact that you have to feel like, well, if we get a couple of lucky breaks, we might be able to beat these guys. To me, that says, no, not there just yet. Doesn't mean that you can't sneak in. It just means that you have to sneak in. So if you have to sneak in, I'm going to say disagree. If you don't have to sneak in, I would have said agree completely 110%. But I think we can all agree if the Flyers are making it into the playoffs this year, they're doing it via wild card. I think we can all kind of agree to that.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. So to me, I feel like that's the definition of, okay, they got to sneak in. Doesn't mean that they wouldn't be able to get in. Just means you have to sneak in. So I'm going to say disagree.
Right, and they're not a lock for that top three because there are some intangibles, but there's been progress, Brian, right? Teams are now game planning for the Flyers rather than, let's start our backups in net, for example, against the Flyers. So it's definitely they've become a formidable foe, so they've taken that next step, but there's still a little more work to be done.
No, absolutely. There's definitely a ton of work to be done still, and like I said, man, there's a lot for this team to be happy with. The continued fight, the resiliency. The last couple games, they've had Carolina score and they've responded super quick. Tonight, Montreal scored, I believe, the first goal, and Carl Gunnarsson came in and scored maybe a minute later. So their response has been great all season long. I like how the defense has been all season long. Putting themselves in pretty good positions, allowing Vladar to see pucks and be able to see the plays developing. So a lot of good to be done here. But like I said, for me personally, I think they are going to be a playoff team, which is kind of how things are kind of falling into for them, because they're going to make a couple moves, but in order to get that level two, because right now I think they're a good team. In order for them to get to a great team, they got to find that guy with the killer instinct. And Rob, you brought up a good point. This team right now, and this is one of the things that I find to be a negative for them, is they're trying to always find the perfect play instead of taking what's given to them. I mean, how many times have we seen Sean Couturier on a 2-on-1 break, instead of taking the shot that's being given to him, because the defenseman is taking away the pass. He's trying to make the pass anyway. You know, they need a guy who has that killer instinct that wants the puck on his stick that's going to take that shot every single time. We don't quite have me. I think it's going to be Michkov. Just from what we saw last year and the little bit that we're seeing this year, which, by the way, hell of a play he made at the end of the second period. So tip of the cap to Mitchie for that one. Yes. But they need a guy who has that killer instinct that wants the puck on a stick with the final seconds.
I will say this. I feel like with the way that his confidence has been coming back to him, I feel like Zegras has the ability to kind of get into that mode of killer instinct. And I think that he's showing signs of that. I mean, I'm not saying he will, but I feel like with his confidence coming back and him kind of feeling himself a little bit and the pace that he's currently on right now, you know, I mean, hell, they're actually showing a graphic right now of players with the most points with a new team. They're showing both Dvorak and Zegras. But the point being is that, you know, I feel like Z is kind of like one of those guys who's kind of developing a bit of that, you know? So I could say that as like, this is a perfect example of, you know, if we can get more guys doing that, you know, then we can go in the right direction.
Did not realize Dvorak had that many points. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
Getting top 6 minutes. So, I mean, he's out there on the ice a ton. And same could be said from Zegras. You know, two guys that you really, maybe Zegras, but you weren't really penciling either in for your number one line. And Zegras in his 300th game has already tied his point total from last season at 32.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Maybe exceeded it with the goal tonight.
Yeah. He's on pace to like I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I might have even just said it to the guys at work, but you know, he's on pace to have career highs in goals, points, I think assists. Like he's on pace to have a career year, Trevor Zegras is.
Yeah. And again, I think that that's a huge thing for him and a huge thing for the Flyers. Besides that too, you know, I think, like we were saying, the fight that's been there for the Flyers, the response that they do, you know, they get scored on, and then what is it, like 2 minutes later, they'll come back and they'll score. It's like, that's how you respond. That's what you fucking do. You say, oh, okay, you want to go up 3-1 on us? Okay, we're going to get right back into this. You are not staying 2 goals up on us for very long. You know, so I like what I'm seeing from this team in terms of that. Priz saying Flyers just have to beat the teams they should and then steal a couple they shouldn't. Flyers should offer the far, or I'm gonna assume
should probably offer the farm.
Maybe because it.
He's got a second half
okay, yeah, there it is. Offer the farm for Tage Thompson. Everyone but Martone or Michkov.
Right, and you know, I mean. That's been the issue, though, Priz, is that, yes, Flyers are taking care of business when, you know, we, for example, faced the Sharks of recent, even the Devils and Rangers who have been playing substandard of recent and have fallen themselves out of the playoff picture. So let's keep in mind that they're still lurking back there when it comes to penciling in the Flyers for a wild card team. But in the end, you take care of business against the teams, the lower brow teams. But where Flyers have been lacking is that maybe they earn that point. But to your point, Brian, they don't. They lack that finish to steal that second point. They got to steal more of those second points than just handing them over, especially when you're playing other Metro teams.
Yeah, for sure. Maddie, did you see that?
I did, and I don't know why there wasn't a call.
I don't know why either. Zegras just got cross-checked in the back by Josh Anderson.
Yeah, no call made. Referee was looking right at it too. Like
Bush
on his face. Bush is right.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of that. We saw Demidov go after Ristolainen earlier after he delivered a clean check in the neutral zone.
That was a good hard hit too. I love it. Risto's back, baby.
Yeah. Welcome back, Risto.
Yeah. We've got Totoro. What's up, bro? He's saying, what would you give up for Owen Power?
I feel like that package is going to look somewhat similar to what Quinn Hughes just went for.
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, hey, congrats to Minnesota winning the Quentin Hughes sweepstakes. I did not expect it to be them, which is kind of funny. It's always the sleeper ones that somehow pull it out at the end of the day. So, hey, congrats to the green and red. They got themselves a fine player.
And they had the best package. I don't think anybody could have topped that.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
I don't think the
great
Flyers
return.
tried enough, though. I would have I was a little disappointed in their efforts there. Like they were just like no. I mean, they like their guys, and you got to respect that. But it might have been a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it could have been. So seeing that package, right? We're seeing that package now, and I've been kind of thinking about it in my head. I would have been okay letting go of Jetlachenko. Is there anybody else in this organization right now that you would have been okay? Like that's more of a higher end prospect that you would have been okay with sending to Vancouver?
I would say possibly Denver Barkey because we haven't seen it at this level and you're projecting and it looks really good. But if it's an opportunity to get your top D man, because that's what this team needs. They lack a top D man. No offense to Travis Sanheim. He's played that role well, but he's not a number one. He would be a nice number two, and York be, on the second pairing. That would really spread out the defense better. And then, of course, they're missing that one center. So, to lock up that one D man, I might have given up a Barkey, but I do hear your point, Brian, not to skim over it. It's hard to top what Minnesota gave up. I just would have appreciated more of an effort.
Oh, I agree with you. From what I heard, Flyers didn't even make an offer from what I read in a couple different articles.
So I think you would agree that they were playing that a little too safe, a little too cautious. They weren't willing to be a little bit more ballsy, I guess is a lack of a better term for it.
Well, maybe they didn't want to cheat the rebuild, right? Because making a move like that kind of causes you to cheat the rebuild a little bit. But it's just when you have an opportunity to get that player, a player that your head coach has already coached for 2 seasons, it seemed like a really good match to make an effort for. But they believe in their guys and they want to stick with what they're building here. So I understand it. You got to make an offer though when Quinn Hughes is being shopped out there.
Agreed 100%. It looks like the Flyers are.
It looks like there was a penalty called on Zegras, and I would love to know what the fuck for.
Zegras and Josh Anderson, they're both getting 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct or roughing.
Why? Because I don't even recall Zegras really doing anything.
Oh yeah, no, they went at it. Getting the sticks up in the face, cross-checking each other,
getting emotional.
Oh, okay. Now I'm seeing it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will say that is one thing Zegras definitely needs to calm down a little bit. He lets his temper get the better of him. He did.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, though. You need players on your team like that. A guy that is emotional and that rides on, when you're pissed, but also it keeps the locker room loose when you're having fun and hamming up with the boys. I was thinking about this when I was watching the game earlier. I mean, not in play-wise. He's a playmaker. He's a, not a proven goal scorer, but can be a goal scorer in this league, right? He just reminds me of that same cut of cloth that a Dave Poulin was, a Timmy Kerr was, a John LeClaire was, a Mike, where they're fiery and then they love to ham it up and make jokes. You could even put Kevin Hayes in that for a little bit. Yeah. Not that I'm comparing Kevin Hayes to any of those aforementioned, but just in terms of that aspect, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't have a fire under you. It's just that there's a time to do it and there's a time not to. And I feel like this was one of those times where it wasn't advisable because Montreal's trying to get you on a 4-on-4. So I feel like that's what Zegras was kind of baiting himself into there.
I don't necessarily agree with that, Matty, because you got to remember Josh Anderson the shift before just cheap shot at him in the back and cross-checked him.
He did.
You got to respond to that in some way, shape, or form. You can't just let it.
I'm not saying you let it slide. I'm saying that it's like you still have the receipt. You don't have to give it back right that moment because your team's on the power play. Wait until you get that opportunity when you feel like, okay, we're in garbage time. Now's the time to actually make that shit happen. It's like, I got your receipt. You're getting it back now. That's just my opinion on it. It's like, I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with the fire. I'm not that. I feel like choose your battles. At that moment, don't let Montreal even it up to where it's 4-on-4.
Ooh, that come
Make
up high.
keep it on the power play.
Yeah.
Not that the Flyers have done much with this power play, but still at the same time, it's like that's just how I view it. It's like strategy wise, because Montreal's trying to throw the Flyers off. They're getting chippier right now because they know they're down by 2. They're really trying to get the Flyers to make mistakes here and penalty wise. And that's the last thing that you want to do is get yourself getting a little parade to the box going. That's the only thing I'm feeling on that. I have no problem with standing up for yourself. Just pick the moment to do it. Pick the right moment to do it. You got the receipt. You know it happened. When the time's right, then you strike at the end of the day. Just strategize it a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
I like this spot because you don't know if you're going to get another shot at Anderson.
All right.
Because, obviously, danger shot, he cross-checked him and he wound up landed on his face. So there you already had a penalty called on Gallagher for getting a little emotional after high sticking Nick Sealer, which I don't understand why he went after Sealer for that. It should be the other way around, but
I know why. Because
you can bait a guy like Josh Anderson into getting another dumb penalty, potentially putting yourself in a 5-on-3.
You could, but at the same time, it's like when you're doing the same thing as him, it's like, okay, well, the ref's going to take both of you off at the end of the day.
Yeah, fair.
But as for that whole thing with Gallagher, I know exactly why he got mad. Because if you look on the replay, Sealer kind of moves his arm up and the stick comes and gets him in the face. So I think Gallagher felt that Sealer did it on purpose, where he moved the stick into his face on purpose.
Missed that.
Yeah, so that's why Gallagher got mad at the end of the day. Which, I mean, hey, that's your fault, Gallagher, for being stupid. You don't put your stick up that high to somebody like Sealer who's going to know what the fuck to do at that moment. That's just really stupid on your part.
While you guys were talking, Dan Vladar took one up high. I think it was like up in the shoulder collarbone area. I had to shake that off, but he's a gamer. He's sticking in, and thank goodness, because for a $3+ million goaltender who was supposed to be brought in here to be a tandem goaltender, he has taken the lion's share and is really impressed, just to toot his horn a little bit. And both goaltenders now have been much better than they were. Or the goaltenders were between the crease for the Flyers last season. So that's helped them take this next step as Montreal removes their goaltender. And this is an opportunity for me to give him a little bit of love. Jacob Fowler making his first start in Montreal with Sam Monteblum struggling and sent on a conditioning stint in the AHL. This is his third start overall and looked pretty good against the Penguins, but everybody is as they're blowing leads lately like a porn star.
Yeah, facts.
As you said off mic, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for the Flyers. It's a guy who has very little tape on him, which could be a disadvantage for this offense, but it's also he's expected to be the next franchise guy for the Canadiens. A lot of hype behind this kid. Strong goaltending. This is a kid, like you said, Rob. He's 3 games into his NHL career, pretty much, and he's gonna make these rookie mistakes, like we saw at the end of the second period, where he held onto the puck too long and allowed Michkov, who was flying up the ice, to steal the puck and feed Bobby Brink for the goal. So
I think MM has learned a little bit more English, and he called out "leave it" to get him to leave it.
Maybe
because the Montreal defender was not back. It was Demidov who was back in place of the defender. He's not calling that. He's not trained to call that.
Oh, so that's a good point.
I think that was picking the pocket right there and set up Bobby Brink on that goal. But in any of the 3 goals, though, that one you could follow him. That's a rookie mistake, and we saw a couple of those against the New York Rangers, but in his second start. But overall, I've liked. I could see the pedigree there. His side to side, he's real crisp. He's got, it's these type of things that you can catch guys when they're wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
The greenies, as they call them. Well, there's another thing that's called greenies, but that's not what I'm talking about.
The thing I do like that this team has done this year too, and this is going to hopefully carry on through tonight, is I saw a little stat in this game. This team, when leading after 2 periods, is 9-0.
Which is
So
nice.
this team does know how to close out games. It's just going back to the poll question is, they just have to figure out ways to do it against some of these top teams in the league and steal that second point. They did a great job against Carolina all season long. I think they have one more matchup in Philadelphia. Hopefully they can figure out a way to steal that second point from them, because they always give Carolina a run for their money. So, figuring out ways to steal those, we're starting to get into the important second points in overtime now, since we're almost at the Christmas break. It's going to be super important if this Flyers team wants to make the playoffs and really start attracting some really good free agent talent, or even some guys who, say have a no trade clause in their contracts and, want to be added to their tradable list. So they're getting there, I think, but there's still definitely some work to be done as we're seeing.
Sure. And I would kind of classify this. They just got the job done a little bit earlier in the game, but we saw late goals in each of the first and second period. Now, maybe you can attribute that to a young netminder, maybe losing a little mental focus, but it was great, crisp plays by the Flyers to get it done. That 2-on-1 with Konechny and Zegras was a thing of beauty, but Montreal scored the first goal of this game. They were up 1-0, and the Flyers have rattled off 3 unanswered. And Montreal were 12. Well, I mean, this game's not over yet. About 2 minutes left to go. But Montreal were 12-4-1 when scoring first. So this would be what I would classify to your definition of, taking the 2 points, in comeback fashion against a team you're looking up at the standings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was a good try. Unfortunately, just not enough speed on that.
Hit by Risto again. Jeez Louise. Oh,
did he miss playing? I don't think he did.
Oh, dude, I missed him playing. I didn't realize how much I missed his physical presence.
Shot.
I know. I give, and Risto actually looks like he slimmed down a little bit too. Looked like he put himself in really good shape too as well. So it's like, okay. All right, Risto, I see you, bud.
Jackson will come with another goal tonight. Let's go.
What I will say too is that this, the way that this game is going, with how chippy this game was, how chippy the last game was between Montreal and Philly. If these two teams met in a playoff series, oh my God, it would look like, there we go, empty netter, good, and that's TK putting the finishing touches on that. Nice.
He needs him. He's got to get going.
He does, actually.
He's another guy. He's a guy I think who had that killer instinct for the Flyers, especially when we get later in the year.
I think he just gets frustrated because he doesn't score in those moments, and then he just gets angry at himself, and then he starts gripping the stick. And it's like, okay, calm down. They'll come. You just can't force them. But all the same, though. Definitely want to say, though, if these two teams were to meet in a playoff series, oh my God, it'd be like a fucking old time hockey 1970s style battle between these two squads. Let's see here. And Totoro did say, like, what team would you guys want to play the most in the playoffs right now? Not Carolina. Not because of the fact that the Flyers couldn't hang in there with them. It just seems like bad luck against them. When you got a bad luck against a team, it don't matter how hard you play. It's just like, of course, bounce is going to go their way, because why the fuck not? Happened the first game, and then then the last two, it's like, I'd rather not face Carolina right now. I'd rather face anybody else. Anybody else.
Right now, with the standings the way they are, it looks like the Flyers, currently tied with Boston. I think they would wind up playing Carolina in the first round.
Well, then let's change that, shall we? Let's make sure we have some good points. So make sure that we can avoid that.
Well, I was and Swoopy, who's absent this evening. I was DMing with him during the first Carolina game, and they do play a suffocating form of hockey, and really it comes down to it that they don't have to block a lot of shots because they just control the puck so well. They're leading the league in Corsi percentage, which just reflects that time of possession. And the Flyers have gotten better. I'll look up that stat in that degree, and that's why we've seen a better level of play.
Yeah, for sure, and it's definitely been something that they're continuing to work on. I was listening to the pregame presser that Tocchet did, and the other thing that they want to do is obviously they want to shoot more. I think they had 3 shots in this period, for 21 overall, which is I think about the average for a Rick Tocchet team. But I mean, that's obviously something they're working on. And the other thing that they're trying to do too is, as the Flyers get the win 4-1 final, the big 2 points there. So, it's the power play thing. He doesn't believe in set plays. He wants these guys to kind of develop their own kind of swag. And John, Don, what's up, boys? I think at some point you need to develop some plays here and there just to kind of run, just to gain some confidence in these guys. But again, I think it comes down to having a guy who needs that, who wants the puck on a stick in that situation, who wants to just, his first reaction is, give me the puck. I'm going to just absolutely, rip it into the back of the net, which, not saying that it could happen, but if the rumors are true, if I'm the Flyers, I consider maybe looking at acquiring Steven Stamkos at the trade deadline from Nashville. I think he could be a good guy for this team to kind of help develop some of these younger guys into that, to get that killer instinct that when you have the puck, just be confident and shoot it from everywhere.
I'm going to say this right now. Our history of getting former Tampa Stars is not good. Just saying. Does anyone remember Vinny Lecavalier? So I'm joking.
He was fine until they got rid of.
I'm joking. I know it was them getting rid of Lavi that set that back. Yeah, I know.
But technically, he would be a former Nashville star, if you even want to call him a star in Nashville.
I mean, yeah,
just
true.
Semantics there. That's all that is.
But also, what's ironic too, didn't we get rid of Lecavalier to Nashville? So the weird parallels of that shit is kind of funny.
So then it's just going to go for full circle.
Yeah, full circle. Yeah, there we go. See, we're all about history here in Philly since we like to go back to it so much.
And not saying that would even happen, but just pure speculation. He was the first guy that popped into my mind that was available at on the trade block that could potentially help this power play.
Yeah. So.
Real quick before we move on and talk about former Lightning that became Flyers, the one that actually I liked was Damon Lankow. He was good.
Oh yeah,
he was a good player for the Flyers.
Oh yeah,
he was actually. So big win for the Flyers tonight, rebounding after taking a tough loss in 2 home-and-home games that they unfortunately lost, both in shootouts. So the sparkling undefeated streak that the Flyers had rolling into that got absolutely shattered. So unfortunately is what it is. I mean, hey, you know what though? We can say though, for a brief period, for a good couple months there, the Flyers were the best shootout team in the league. So you know what? Let's give them that. Let's give them the flowers on that one. That's an impressive accomplishment for any Flyers team to move. But all the same though, it is what it is. So after getting this win here, something to talk about here, and that is the finish of Flyers games. They had to finish tonight, albeit it may not necessarily be against the team that is 100% playoff bound. But if Montreal got back in, I don't think anyone would be that shocked by it. I mean, hell, they made it in last year, and they proved that they weren't a fluke because they fought Washington hard. So the point being, with this win tonight, Flyers rebounding, getting the finish, talking about finish in the last few games, them closing out games. Obviously, just because it's fresh, let's talk about the home and home against Carolina. Not the results you wanted. Flyers had a really hard time because, for one thing, they were chasing the game. That didn't help anything. Secondly, on top of it as well, allowing teams to kind of sneak their way back in. The Flyers had a nasty little habit of doing that too, where they'll jump out to a nice little lead and then a team will start to slowly creep back in on them. And that's happened as well this season. Think a perfect example. Didn't they have a strong lead against the Islanders, and the Islanders slowly but surely crept their way back into the game? Flyers still won that game, but they made it a hell of a lot harder than it had to be. So, guys, let me ask you a question. Them closing out games, what is going to be the key for them to kind of to stop getting leaky there towards the end, to kind of patch up the holes and make sure that they have a strong control over the game and over the score sheet? It's a game of inches. Anything can happen in split seconds, but there are ways to make sure that you're finishing strong. How do the Flyers do that?
Well, it ties into something I was listening today in an interview, pregame interview up in Montreal for Rick Talk. And he was asked about how this team has played very well against the Vegas Golden Knights and the back-to-back in the Hurricanes, but yet 3 losses, 1 in overtime, 2 in a shootout. To your point, Matty, you stated that before. And this was Rick's response. He goes, the overtime play is something we're trying to work on. In those games we've lost, we've had our opportunities. We've had a couple 2-on-1s. We're just not converting. I think we're trying to make the perfect play. That's where I got that from earlier in the show, Brian. Was from this quote. And to that point of what I stated before, when you're trying to make the perfect play, that's really just indicative of a team that's working to build its confidence and maybe overthinking when making their reads, making that pass out high when they're playing high instead of getting the puck down low, especially on, the power play or when you have that 2-on-1 in the OT period. So it's almost there, just not quite there yet. Experience will solve this. The more they're in these situations, the more the hockey IQ will rise. So I just think that you have to go through it to get through it, as they say in recovery. And when it comes to the Flyers, just work on not making the pretty play, getting the pucks on net, right? Making that and stay mentally in the games, because to Maddie's point that you let the Islanders creep back in there before this recent streak, and yes, you were winning games, but it can cost you some valuable points. You need to try to take instead of just giving away that second point, you got to try to take some of those too, Brian.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think you and I were watching the same presser, because I heard him saying something very similar to that earlier too, about especially on the power play, seeing how they have 3 guys up high, you're still getting the puck back up to the top of the point. Getting away from that and taking advantage of the open ice down at the bottom towards the goal line and in the slot. So for me, it's very similar to that. You go into a third period with the lead, which is great, and sometimes they sit back a little too much, like I feel like they did tonight. It's going to allow teams to get some prime opportunities. It's 12 shots by Montreal in the third period, and there were a couple of really good chances in there. For me, Robbie, I think you said something great earlier, and it was all about time of possession for the Flyers. You got to hold on to the puck in the offensive zone. You take a couple shots here and there, great, but just keep the puck out of your end, stay in theirs. Especially in that third period.
Right.
Keep your foot on the gas, like you were saying with Swoopy, become that team that pretty much suffocates you, aggressive on the forecheck, figuring out ways to get in the passing lanes, turning pucks over, just basically holding them to their own end. I think that's going to be the best way for this Flyers team, especially in the third period, to come out and to win some more of these games. 10-0 when leading after the second period, which is great. Let's keep that rolling. Start figuring out how to, especially early on, setting the tone. We talked about this before a few weeks ago. Set the tone, let them know that they're playing your game, and then you just go from there. It's all about time of possession in hockey anymore. It's all about time of possession.
Yep,
The best teams in the
exactly.
league know how to hold on to the puck, and it's going to come
Absolutely.
with time. Like you said, Robbie, you got to go through it to get through it. The IQs are going to continue to rise as they continue to learn the system and get comfortable with it, and really start to create that chemistry together.
Right. One thing I'll point out here too, and it's not something to gloss over, even though obviously you would want the win, no matter what, you absolutely want the win. But taking a look back at this, um, the Flyers' last regulation loss was against the Avalanche, which was back on the 7th, which was a 3-2 loss. And then their last game where they were shut out was on the 24th of November, when they lost 3-0 to the Lightning. And the only game that they've really been blown out recently was on the 1st against the Penguins, which honestly, that to me was a show of the Penguins needed to do that, because after the way they had sloppily performed previously against the Flyers, they needed to respond big time in that. And that's where I think that came from. Although doesn't give you the pass, you still need to play up to the Penguins, and the Flyers did not in that particular game. However, though, from what I'm seeing here, when you're taking 3 straight losses, the good thing and the silver lining to pull out of it, I know you still want the win. You still got a point out of every single one of those games, and you still kept yourself above water in the standings at the end of the day. Doesn't give you the out, but it does at least give you at least a little bit of a cushion to say, okay, we got a point out of this. We do need to get that W, though. So that's the one thing I did pull away from is, okay, we took 3 L's, but they're all in overtime. So we at least got a point out of this. We did not just take a straight regulation, 3 straight regulation losses where you get absolutely nothing out of that. So there is that a little bit. That's the one
Exactly.
silver lining I pulled out of that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. And I mean, hey, look, let's look at the facts here. So they get decimated by the Penguins a bunch of games ago, but they come back and beat the Sabres 5-2, handle a team that they should be handling at this point. And even these last 3 games, earning that point, it really reflects upon how we've described this team and how the coaches describe this team, and that's resilient. They come back and they don't hang their heads and feel sorry for themselves. They come back. Now, we were talking about Corsi numbers. I actually looked up. They have improved, but they're still 24th in the league in Corsi. So I think that's going to be an area that is, the more you continue to control the puck, I mean, this isn't rocket science. You're going to, win more hockey games, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on top of that too, Maddie, it was a great point you brought up, because Tocchet said the same thing. He said, we're looking at the positives despite the fact that we lost. And guess what? One of those positives he talked about, we got 1 point out of this, boys. Like we're taking points away from other teams. So it's keeping us afloat here. We're still climbing up the standings. So that's a major positive to take away. But now it's figuring out ways to, how are we going to, steal some of these wins that we probably shouldn't be. And again, that's going to come back to a good combination of that killer instinct I was talking about and time of possession that Robbie was talking about. That's going to be a huge thing moving forward. And because of that, look at how good Vladar's playing. I don't think any of us expected Vladar to be as good as he is this year.
No,
I know I didn't.
not. I mean, Vladar's looking like, himself from like probably 5 or 6 years ago in his career.
Back when he was in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, like, good. It's great. I love it, and I think in a way, too, I think because of how things ended in Calgary, I think Vladar had a lot to prove. And I think that he's showing that he had a lot to prove. It's like, no, I'm not washed up. I can still do this. I can still perform at a high level. And yeah, Wolf he's the future, goaltender for Calgary. But at the same time, Vladar's like, I'm not chopped liver, by no stretch of the imagination. I'm still capable of being a strong player. I mean, hell, he's looking at a .955 save percentage right now. So that's a pretty damn good fucking percentage right there for a goaltender in this league today. Hell yeah, that's a great fucking percentage. I mean, don't get me wrong. Is the Metro the goal happy division like the Pacific Division is? No, but it's still pretty damn impressive all the same.
No, the freaking Rangers are killing the goal scoring in this division. 11 of 16 games this year, they have scored less than 2 goals at home. 2 or less. I'm sorry, 2 or less.
Good Lord.
Helped Anaheim last night.
I'm sure it did.
Didn't help them tonight. They lost in overtime.
Oh, well, you can't win them all, as they say.
Right. And reflecting back to tonight's game, they were leading the shots by a wide margin throughout the game, and Montreal came back to me. And they're going to push at the end. Getting any rubber on net they can to try to get back and claw back. But they took the lead in shots 22-21, and that shows the pedal being taken off the gas a little bit, like Brian was saying, but also a little bit of mental taking the foot off the gas. With Zegras, maybe Maddie, you made that point. Maybe not be so aggressive there. Allow them to take the penalty because they're trying to get you shorthanded at that point, and that's what can cost you games, or at least give the other team that point. Instead of taking 2 clear in regulation.
Absolutely. I mean, that, and again, that's just my feeling on that. I'm looking at it of just like, oh, I'm totally fine with you getting him back. You can absolutely take a receipt and dish it right back out to his ass. Like, just there's a time to do it. Like, you're in garbage time. You're going to win. You've got this time, and you see that little bitch along the boards. All right, drill him. Have fun. Go crazy. Enjoy yourself. He tried to do it to you. Give it right back to his ass. I'm totally okay with that. But pick the moment. Pick the moment. Not on a power play. That's the only thing that gave me pause, was that it was on a power play. I mean, that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, and that's fine. And like I said, I'm good with it. Go out and get them. You're up 2. You're already on the power play. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to take them with you and you stay on the power play.
I mean, sure, that's true. It's just, you know how it can be sometimes where, it goes the other way and you're the only one going off the ice. You're like, what the fuck's that?
Yeah, I think because the ref saw it and he knew what happened before, that he was just like, listen, we're not going to have this. Both of you are going to the box. And if you keep it up, you're going to get a 10 and a, you're going to get a sportsmanlike conduct. You're going to get 10-minute misconduct. So, whatever.
Right. And normally in normal circumstances, that's how the ref would handle that. So, I do understand. I do get that. It's just, sometimes you play with fire, you get burnt a little bit, you got to be careful, Yeah. Priz is saying at times like these and only times like these, I miss Brad. And then he goes on to say, rub it in his face. No scoring, blue shirt bitches.
They score fine on the road. They don't want to play it. They don't like playing at MSG for some reason. I was hoping Kreider was going to get one last night, but I'll take 2 from Cutter.
Right. He said, I'd be a ruthless coach. Damn right I would. And then he also says he was sweeping the knee. Yeah, sweep that knee, Johnny. Absolutely.
Put him in a body bag.
Listen, hey, man, you want to try and do a little cheap shit? I'm like, okay, we'll fight fire with fire. I'm okay with doing a little cheap shit back to you. It's like, all right. Yeah. We could do this the easy way or we could do this the hard way. Either way, your ass is losing.
As you said, you got to keep those receipts, man.
So, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the Flyers finishing out games, like you're saying with Corsi, very important stat right there that's being tracked. It's been much more of a big factor that's being brought into the league. I think for like the last 5-6 years, I think it's really become more of a factor, which is good because it is true. It does show the results in it. And then same time too with having a little bit more of that finish, especially on your 2-on-1s. There's been breakaways too where they've just kind of, there's no, like, sometimes I get it if you don't have time. Like sometimes you'll get the puck late and you really don't have a chance to make a move. And then other times they get the breakaway and it's like they're thinking too much about it. It's like sometimes the most subtlest things get the job done. Like you could just do a little head fake and just not even move the puck and let the goalie just leave the 5-hole wide open and just let the puck slide right on through. And it's like, there you go. You made a move without needing to make a move. Just little things like that sometimes go a long way. Keep it simple. You don't have to go crazy.
Just real quick, that's Couturier, and he infuriates me with it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All those coursing numbers that I was giving folks, I'll give a little credit to moneypuck.com. I go there for all my deep analytic stats for NHL. They have an awesome leaderboard where you can look at 5-on-5, all situations, 5-on-4, 4-on-3, others. So, basically, if you want to look at the underlying metrics, go check out moneypuck.com.
I will also say this too. It is a privilege to have Zegras on this team. And the reason why, it's just like not only because of his play on even, but my God, when that man's ready to take a shot on the shootout, it is like watching an artist just put together a fucking painting. It's like, Jesus. It's like this guy just knows what the fuck to do. Does it always score? No. But goddamn, it is terrifying for the other goalie.
Right. Well, it's like Boosh said tonight too. He just has a knack for finding that 5-hole and keeping the puck down when you need to, instead of elevating the puck and missing the net. And that sounds a lot of, that's just what the doctor ordered here in Philadelphia. So, it's not always the easiest thing, but he has a knack for, deciding quick where to go. 5-hole, blocker side, glove side. Like he's been dynamite on the shootout.
Yeah, it's a shame too because I mean he did have was it Kochetkov I think was in goal in Carolina. Was he in goal in Carolina or was he in goal in Philly?
I think he was in goal in Carolina.
In Carolina.
I think Freddie was Philly. I could have it backwards too.
Either way though, he had him beat and he hit the post. I was like, that's so painful to watch because he had his ass beat. And I was like,
Yeah, I think once the season's over, we're going to see Danny and Trevor sit down and get a nice contract done. I don't think either guy wants the other to leave here, so I expect that to be done. I think where did I hear that? I heard it from somewhere that they're going to get it done. They're just waiting until the offseason. They don't want to have any distractions to Zegras throughout this entire season. They want to give him the best opportunity to play and have just a clear head. Both parties want to be involved in Philly, so that's great to hear. But it could be dangerous as far as contract value goes.
Actually, Kochetkov was in the game in Philly, and they had Busey in that at home.
Yes, yeah, Busey. That's right. I forgot it wasn't Freddie Anderson. It was Busey because they were seeing how good he's been over the last stretch since. Where did he get claimed from? I forget where he came from, but he was struggling there, and he came to Carolina. And he's just been setting it on fire.
He did play well against
Freddie
the Flyers.
Love, damn. But I mean, to his credit, he has been playing well. 12 games with the Hurricanes. And what he posted up, he posted up a 930. Or no, that was Vladar. He posted up a 923 against the Flyers, and overall he's got a 911 with the 205 goals against. He was I have to look at his NHL as a prospect profile, because he's only been with the Hurricanes on the NHL level.
Right. So on that note, anything else major?
Bruins.
With the Bruins.
Providence Bruins, right?
Okay. So anything else major we wanted to bring up with the Flyers in terms of closing out games wise? Or is there something we wanted to throw out there before moving forward?
Just find that killer instinct. Find that shoot first. Guys who are looking to, increase your offensive production. It's the only way to do it. Don't pass the puck. Shoot. Just throw everything on net.
Right. Chris saying Freddie Anderson to Edmonton as well. They can have a 1C and a 1D goalie paid in Jari and Anderson. And that did happen. That trade that sent Stuart Skinner off to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and going back the other way was Tristan Jarry for the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, it's interesting.
That
like
was a terrible trade.
goalie for goalie. Interesting. That never backfires. Um,
Real quick, Maddie, I just got, you're this was brought up to me. So you're trading a goalie who's basically going to be a free agent at the end of the year to Pittsburgh for a goalie who's 3 years older, has 3 more years on his contract, is paying a higher salary, and you had to give up one of your best defensive players to get him. I would fire whoever's running the Edmonton Oilers immediately.
Let's see here. Let's
Not
take
why they're even, but
let's see here. Let me just take a look. Who is the GM of the Oilers right now? Stan Bowman is the GM of the Oilers. So
not getting a good second lease on life following the Chicago fiasco. No. But I mean, Jari's been a turnstile, right? Like, he's been a goalie that I've targeted in DFS many a times. So I don't know what Edmonton was thinking here, but it's not like you gave. I mean, like Skinner isn't quality, but yeah, having to give up the defenseman too. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, both guys are. I mean, that was a brutal trade. I mean, maybe both guys, hopefully a new scenery can get these guys back on track. Get their heads, a little bit clearer. Hit the refresh, and maybe I have no hope for Skinner, but Tristan Jarry maybe can hopefully find his way again, because you don't just lose your talent. So he might be able to figure out. He's played in one game so far, I think, for Edmonton. It was a 6-3 win, saw 28 shots, saved 25 of them. He had an 893 save percentage, which isn't great, but he allowed 3 goals. So that's maybe it's a good way to start.
You're skipping over the irony of it, because guess who's got that 6-3 win over?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, boy, this is maybe Edmonton's onto something here. They just got a 6-3 win over the fucking Penguins. Good Lord.
Oh, no, it was Toronto.
Well, still, they're winning 6-3 right now over the Penguins. So, you know what? Maybe they do know something we don't at the end of the day.
Oh, are they playing right now, too?
They are playing right now. There's 39 seconds left in the third period, and they're winning 6-3 over the Pittsburgh Penguins right now.
Jerry against his old mates.
Let me see. Is he playing?
Jarry's playing.
He is playing, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's posting a 900 right now. Meanwhile, Skinner's in goal for the Penguins, and he's posting a 739. So, yeah, maybe Edmonton does know what they're doing.
I have to take it back.
God, this is great. I love the irony. Oh, man. You can't write better comedy than that. You really can, honestly.
That's awesome. That is great.
Oh, these are things you live for in the world of sports. Just these silly fucking things that happen every now and again.
6-4. 6-4. Penguins just got another one.
Oh, okay. So they got some life. Who just scored that?
Denton Heinen. And that was with 15 seconds left.
Oh, well, that's not over yet. Oh, my God.
That game was on TNT?
That one was on TNT?
Yeah.
Jesus. What is it? You put the Flyers and the Sabres on, and then you put this shitty game between the Oilers and the Penguins? What the fuck is up with you guys? Like, seriously. I get it. You want to mix it up, but Jesus, that is not the best way to go about it. Anyway.
Could turn out to be an offensive juggernaut. What, they're at 10 goals now in that game? Oof. Should have played that game for DFS. Damn.
Yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So, hey, all right. Well, so far, Edmonton's won that deal. So far. Yeah. We'll see how that bears fruit when we get to playoff time. But, because, we're not kidding anybody. Most likely Edmonton's in the playoffs. So,
we're seeing a player benefit from a change of scenery. Maybe Edmonton can too.
Yeah, that's what I kind of where I'm going with it is as far as Tristan Jari goes. Skinner, I've lost all hope for. But I think he's been his entire career in Pittsburgh, and he's been struggling the last couple years, especially since he got that contract. Maybe playing with a couple of the best players in the world, and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl could be something that rejuvenates his his ability to kind of focus in on the game a little bit more, and just like I said, hitting the refresh button. Sometimes it's never a bad thing. I mean, best examples right now is Trevor Zegras and Christian Dvorak. So two guys are with a brand new team this year and are having two really good years. One's a career year. So who knows? Maybe Jari can find that little bit of magic too in Edmonton.
Yeah. We'll see. So with that, that covers the big trade that happened, and which we got to see some of the results of tonight. In the end, Flyers, getting back to them, they get a big win tonight against the Canadiens, rebounding from a tough home stretch where they took 2 L's, breaking the 3-game losing streak that they were on. And so back into the swing of things, so to speak, here for the Flyers. Hopefully they can continue to rebound just fine against their up-and-coming opponents. Their next opponent is the Buffalo Sabres, so they should be fine against them, although Buffalo is going to probably want to try and play up a little bit because they did get blown out by the Flyers 5-2 in the previous outing. Mm-hmm. This will also be in Buffalo, so there's also that little additive to it. And then the Flyers play the Rangers, and the Rangers, and this is in the Garden. So, might be a very enticing opportunity for the Flyers to take full advantage of that little stat that you threw out there, Bri. So, a couple of interesting games coming up for the Flyers. And, so hopefully a couple of big wins, hopefully get strung together here, maybe, possibly.
Fingers
one
crossed.
Can hope. Just a girl with a dream here. So, anyway.
Oh, boy.
We thank you, everybody, for joining us for another edition of Flyers Talk A2D. Next week is the week of Christmas, I believe.
Yep. Tuesday will be the 23rd.
Yes, it is. All right, then. So we will see if we will be doing a show that week. Not sure yet. It's up in the air. We'll keep you guys posted on that. If we do have a game that is happening that night, and it happens to be Priz's loving Chicago Blackhawks. That happened to be the opponent that the Flyers will have on that Tuesday. And I believe it will be in Chicago. So an interesting battle between the Flyers and Blackhawks next week coming up.
I think that's a TNT game.
It
if
is.
I remember when we reviewed the schedule in the beginning of the season, yeah.
Spot on there, Robbie.
Nice. So, yeah. So, TNT matchup for the Flyers coming up against the Blackhawks. Should be an interesting battle. Flyers taking on Connor Bedard and his squad. So, that's next week. Until then, we hope everybody out there stay safe, stay healthy. If we are with you next week, we look forward to seeing you guys again and hearing from you guys again for our reaction to the Blackhawks and Flyers. If not, then everybody out there, no matter what holiday you celebrate, whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, Rosh Hashanah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, or even if you don't celebrate and you're just having time and fun with your family and friends, enjoy it, be happy, have a great time in this holiday season.
Festivus for the rest of us.
I'll get the poll.
Yeah.
Somebody get the poll down from the attic.
So we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. Any aches and pains, go hit up the doc at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We will see you guys, maybe not. Like I said, up in the air. We'll keep you posted. But until we see you next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Happy holidays, everybody. Peace and love. Take care, everyone.
Happy holidays.